may be the biggest thing that's ever happened.
Wherever there is injustice, you will find us. Wherever there is suffering, we'll be there. Wherever liberty is threatened, you will find
the three AmiVO's. Dave McRae, Garnet Williams, Mike Pongracz. Separately, they are humble Canadian voiceover superstars. Together, they are the three AmiVO's.
Ladies and gentlemen,
here we go.
And now, the AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic Happy Hour VOdcast.
everyone ready?
Yeah.
Hit it.
No, seriously, all you need is a watermelon and 2 jelly donuts.
Well, maybe, but if you don't have a watermelon and 2 jelly donuts, you could use a toothpick and a curling iron. That's entirely possible.
I think as long as you got a Shoudini. You know what a Shoudini is, right?
No.
No? Shoudini?
No.
Gilbert Gottfried was pimping those. It's like an extended shoehorn.
Oh.
Like that you can... look up the
Order
Shoudini.
today, the Shoudini.
That's exactly it! The Shoudini! Okay,
And
let's
we're
go,
back
Let's go back with the
to,
watermelons. The watermelons and the jelly donuts.
We're
That
back.
was good. Okay. We're back.
Welcome.
I'll stick to my toothpick and curling iron.
See, we have to work on our material because today we've got somebody that's far wittier than we.
This is true.
So
Well, this is exciting. I
This
mean,
is
this
truly-
is another exciting one.
Okay, well, first of all, this is welcome to the AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic
Happy Hour Vodcast.
Hang on. Slow down the teleprompter.
Okay, catch up. In front of me, as always, AmiVO Garnet Williams.
Hello.
To my left, AmiVO Dave McRae.
What's up?
AmiVO. What's... Sorry, AmiVO Kevin Hart to sort of Eddie Murphy.
I think
circa
Craig
84.
Robinson for showing up today.
I'm AmiVO Mike Pongracz. Welcome. Now, this is our third show
Of 2016.
so
Yeah.
we're doing well.
We are.
We are.
We're keeping pace here.
Yep, we are.
We're still very busy.
Don't call it a comeback. We've been here for years.
That's right. But for us, it's a little difficult because we like to get together here at AmiVO Mountain,
That's right.
AmiVO headquarters,
Yep.
to do the podcast. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, our schedules don't always jive.
That's
We're busy.
right.
We're busy,
busy
which
dudes.
is good. And our agent is very happy that we're busy.
Yes.
That's right.
And so it's nice to get together again. We've had a couple of great guests already this year. I'm very much looking forward to today because, yes, witty and funny, absolutely. But you talk about having a history in the business, especially voiceover, and growing up in the business at a time when there was a lot of heavy hitters going around.
That's right. That's right.
Today,
all the pioneers.
the pioneers, yeah. And it's cool. I always like talking to guys that worked both sides of the glass, that were,
Right.
not just performers, but also come from the production and the engineering side.
like
Not just
you-
we're
like
hockey
you and I have.
players, but we're also
we
goal
have,
judges.
and
That's right.
Cliff Zellman. I mean, Cliff does,
Cliff-
he does some video
phenomenal.
stuff, yeah. And
Yeah.
but he's an amazing engineer, and
Yeah.
and I always like talking to guys from studios because, as we are now in 2016, technology.
Well, you get the perspective.
Yeah, and technology has done a. Sometimes I say a disservice to the bigger studios because a lot of those big studios are starting to fade away.
Right.
It'll be interesting to hear what it's like on the West Coast and if that if they feel that kind of crunch too.
Right.
But it's always cool to talk gear and to guys that have been around long enough to see.
and well, he's met
yeah.
or worked with just about everybody.
Oh, my God, yeah.
If you follow him on Facebook or any of the Facebook groups that he belongs to, and he'll put up these pictures, and you're just like, oh my God, he's
I know
worked
his
with them.
throwback
Oh my
Thursday.
God, he's worked with them.
The throwback Thursday pictures are amazing.
It's
Let's
fantastic.
be honest, guys. I mean, today could very well be, in our history,
Yeah.
the closest we will ever get to being a Jedi Knight.
That's true
This
because
is
he
true.
has. Yeah,
He's worked with Hamill himself.
Yes.
I mean, this. You smell that?
No.
That is the essence of the lightsaber reaping through the microphone.
So without any further setup,
we are
That
definitely.
segue was the shut the fuck up, Dave.
yes, it was.
Today is it is a legendary episode of the VOdcast as we go back to LA, to Burbank, California, to be specific. to chat with Marc Graue from the legendary Marc Graue Recording Studios. We will chat with Marc, and I'm sure it's going to be a ride.
Can't wait.
Hang on to your hat, Mildred.
Get your seatbelt on!
Yeah, indeed. When we get back on the AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic Happy Hour VOdcast.
The 3 AmiVO's.
Warning. We'll be right back.
Changing the voiceover industry one toque at a time.
We're going to take a little break, but we'll be back in a while, so don't nobody go nowhere.
Here's another 3 AmiVO's iceberg tip.
Hi, AmiVO Garnet here. Auditions. We love them and we hate them. Look, I know it would be awesome if every gig we got was a direct booking from people hearing our demo, or finding our website, or even a referral. But it just ain't gonna happen like that every time. So, we audition. If you've got an agent, or multiple agents, you could have several auditions a day. You do them, you send them out, and you wait. Sometimes to never hear back. If you're working the P2P circuit, you could be firing up the mic for dozens of auditions a day, and the competition is multiple and fierce. It's real easy to get discouraged, sending out so many auditions and never hearing back. I've seen some people post on social media that they don't understand why they get so few bookings after sending out so many auditions. But you know what? It's beyond your control. Best not to dwell. You've done all you can do, and it's like the Ron Popeil Showtime rotisserie oven. Set it and forget it. Do your audition, send it in, and move on to the next. If you sit around all day wondering if, you lose focus. I've also seen some people so frustrated they don't even want to bother submitting. Well, that's just a defeatist attitude. You're better than that. Persistence pays off, and you can't waste time worrying about aspects of the biz you have no control over. As the great one Wayne Gretzky once said, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. I know as a Canadian it's easy to throw down with a hockey analogy, but Wayne knows his shit. Keep at it, rise above, and keep auditioning. You got this.
From the land where it's perfectly okay to say, nice beaver. The 3 AmiVO's.
And we're back!
And we're back. There we go. There we go. This is good.
Now, this is exciting.
Yes, this is very cool on many levels.
Yes.
Because not too often do we get to use the word legend and legendary.
That's right.
And actually, it's legit.
That's right.
With not a hint of hyperbole.
Not a hint.
I like that word.
And I like the fact that also, what's the phrase? It has worked. I've worked with some of the greats in the business. You hear that a lot.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. You do.
But our guest today literally has.
Yes, and he has the evidence to prove it.
And he is also one of those greats.
Yes.
Exactly.
Himself.
And most importantly, he's just a really nice guy.
And he's super, super talented, too.
Yes, exactly.
Should we actually introduce him before?
Yeah, we might want to
his head's
No.
gonna explode? Joining us all the way from beautiful Burbank, California, the man behind the legendary Marc Graue Recording Studios, Marc Graue joins us!
Hi guys, how you doing?
So now, Marc, part of the deal today is that you have to speak Canadian. So there's a lot of boots.
Really?
No, just kidding.
Lots of A's.
Lots of A's, eh? So, Marc, thank you for joining us today. This is awesome. You are truly, I mean, we see a lot of your work on social media now, and you're so gracious in showing us a little behind the scenes when you're doing some audition stuff. The most recent one you're doing was Kanju the Gorilla King.
Yeah.
So and it's very cool, especially for people that are new to the business or might be isolated in the middle of nowhere and don't actually get into an actual recording studio.
That's right.
To see the behind the scenes,
that little peek behind the curtain.
Yeah,
that's right.
And I mean, if anybody wants to get into animation or video games and wants to see exactly how you perform,
that's right,
the script copy, watch Marc's videos, because
absolutely
you are as physical as it gets.
And you know what I like about his videos the most is that they're quick and to the point.
That's true.
And that leaves you wanting more and more.
Well, you know
more,
what,
Marc. We want more.
No. It's funny because most of those are a one-up. It's one take, and it's like, well, if you step on it, kid, it's your problem. So you throw it out there. But I love the response. Sometimes very positive. Other people, it's like, well, that was, I liked it, but it felt more like a spider monkey than an actual gorilla. And you just go, oh, that's great, man. Thanks. And you just, because you can't, you just, it's no different than auditioning. You throw it out there and you hope everybody likes it. Obviously there's dissenters among the ranks, and it's like, that's great. I mean, it's all good stuff. It's
absolutely.
like, feel free to make whatever comment you want. It just it really crushes me, and I'm going to that forest. And, okay.
Now, Marc, you came up. I mean, you're born and raised in California. Are you not?
Yeah, I was actually born in Hollywood. If that's not terrible, at Creative Angels. And so that's why I'm screwed up. That's the excuse I'm going with.
And you also grew up in the business too. Your dad, he was a broadcast. He worked for KTLA, didn't he?
Yeah. He was a news anchor there. In fact, Dawes Butler is my godfather.
I was going to say,
very
how
cool.
cool is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to do a live puppet show with Stan Freberg called Time for Beanie. And
Beanie and Cecil.
Exactly. And the funny thing, this was like the precursor to that, was it Time for Beanie. And so they would do the voices and they had the puppets. The hilarious thing was that back then there was no such thing as like Fornells or Sentries as far as stage lighting. So they had these huge pieces of plywood with monstrous floodlights on them. So literally these poor guys are working. It must have been, 150 degrees behind this thing.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I remember watching the thing and he's, "Hey, Beanie Boy," and the puppet starts to melt. And so Theo Freberg, now this is live TV. He goes, "Hey, Beanie Boy, fuck!" And the puppet kind of goes, and as a kid, I thought that was so cool. It was like, God, this is great. It's puppets and bad language. And of course, my mother's like, "You're not going back on that set ever."
That's hilarious.
I thought that was really cool.
You have a background in radio.
Oh, yes, and all those really major media markets like Wyoming, Colorado. It's pretty bad when it's a 1K daytimer and their primary programming is the Lutheran hour. Needless to say, I didn't fit in real well.
Now, is that where you got your start in the production side of things? Like, did you go to the production department?
Yeah,
or?
I did radio. Wyoming, Colorado, Utah, Oregon, Washington, San Francisco. I was down in San Diego, and at that point, I had a cast of characters I would do on the air, and the audience loved it. But the door would fly open, and the general manager would, "I can't believe you just said that on the air. Now, God damn it, apologize to the Chevy dealers." It's like, okay, sorry. So I found like safe haven was going and hiding in the production room. Can't come in right now, the light's on. Kind of thing. So I basically, years and years and years ago, BS'd my way after the radio thing into a huge music studio in Hollywood. This was like late 70s, Cherokee Recording. And I remember, when I first went up to interview there, I almost knocked Pat Benatar down. And I was like, absolutely, wow, I knew nothing about music. They were like, "So you know how to bias tape?" It was like, does it not like black people? It was like, I had no idea what it was. Of course, I bias all the time,
That's funny.
And they put me in charge of they wanted to start a media studio. And so which was like radio, TV spots, movie trailers, that kind of stuff. And that's kind of how I immersed. And then many, many moons after that, they realized this was still in the heyday of, Rod Stewart blocking out, a 6-month thing for Warner Brothers. So they were making, it's very funny. Anytime they'd get a contract, it was run by 3 brothers. You'd see 3 brand new shiny Ferraris drive up. And as the contract wore out, it was like, "Why, look, there's a Ford Focus." And but I ended up talking them, how I don't know, into actually buying the entire studio from them, and did well enough there. I moved into a little tiny, maybe 650 square feet in Hollywood, and was like, "Oh my God, I don't know if I can afford, it's a commercial building." Right. And then doubled in size, tripled in size there. And then the neighborhood got a little rough. It was like, "Why, you're not a woman. What is that thing? Is that a tumor?" And it got a little rough, so moved out to Burbank. Now the studio itself, which is very separate of the voiceover stuff, I mean, that's kind of a separate. Thank heavens, I've been very, very fortunate, and then a wonderful staff, and it kind of runs itself. But we're now 17,000 square feet with 5 studios and an ADR stage, and so it's been and it's very funny. I would say, be true to thine own self. Probably the most negative person in my entire endeavor here was my dad. Who would what the hell, of course, newscaster, it's that, "Don't tell me, you communist," it's like, it's like, what makes you think you're going to go to Los? You have no contacts, you don't have any backing, you don't have anything. And then I think he came by and Debbie Reynolds was there, and then immediately it was like, wow, hey, this is pretty, different genre.
Do you remember when I told you that you were going to be a complete success, son?
The coolest story I have with that is he was out smoking a cigarette with this woman, and he comes back in and he goes, boy, she's a real nice gal. What did you say her name was again? And I had been doing a radio show with Grace Slick, and that's who it was. And it was like, I would have loved to have that, back in the future thing where it's like, when you came in at 12 years old, I went, turn that shit down, to go, you know what? Someday you're going to be standing in front of my studio smoking a cigarette with her, and you're going to think she's really cool. So, yeah, it was one of those kind of little, life circle moments. But yeah, it was quite, and then, first, through the studio portion, I got very involved with a legendary voiceover agent, Don Pitts.
We were talking about Don with Mary Lynn earlier as well.
Yeah, and Don was, he still comes by about once every, he'll stop by the studio, looks the same, talks like that about maybe once every couple of months. And still, I go, I've seen you more now than when you were my agent. I didn't want you to be.
That's usually how it is.
No, he said, I didn't want you to be oversaturated. I went, you're so full of shit. You're only 10% human. But, great guy, but made a wonderful, a very good friendship, good agent. And that's kind of how I got, I'd done a ton of VO stuff, but I'd never really auditioned for anything. That was kind of like you just, especially radio, that's just part of your job. You go do it. I think the first time of getting it was like, wow, they're going to pay me $100 to do this?
It's exactly it.
This is cool. So through Don, I had my first audition at Hanna-Barbera, and this is back when Gordon Hunt, who was Helen Hunt's father, Gordon was the lead casting director for Hanna-Barbera, and all of these big directors that you have now, like Andrea Romano, Chris Zimmerman, they were all his assistants.
Right.
So it was a very interesting. The first audition, I had no idea what to do, so I had written this script, and it sounded like I was on, now we'll have to find the great knower of stuff. You can call me great, and it's like they're looking at me like, he's on something, make it stop. And so that was kind of the first foray into all of that wonderfulness, and still here many years later. My pants feel loogy. Did I sit in something? Yeah. So, it's been really, really quite, and there, like you were saying, there's been an immense change, absolutely, in the business.
Well, I was going to say, especially, we see it up here in Toronto, there used to be some real legendary studios, and a lot of places where, work was being done. And with, technology and the economy and how home studios have really, home studios in air quotes.
Yes,
there's a varying degree of home studio.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But you see the effect of it in a lot of these great places that just, they don't have enough business anymore to substantiate it. Do you see that now as well? Like over the years, you guys are still gangbusters.
Yeah, it's pretty astounding. Even the big guy, like when you see Pacific Ocean Post, which is in Santa Monica,
right.
That's been this iconic thing there for years, and they went belly up, But I think, sometime the hardest thing for me, competing wise, obviously, was, sole proprietor. I have no partners.
Mm-hmm.
And, when you're competing with the likes of, Lucasfilm and these large, corporations, it can be, but I always looked at our facility as a mid-range. You still have all the accoutrements, and it's very fancy, and you come in and go, and all that. But it's not, a lot of these places like POP would like, well, the chef today is making beef and stewed beets with, and the funny thing was that back in those days, that was like a huge, because ad agencies are using the client's money. So they, it's like, they're tacking on 50. So they want all of these, fancy. It's like, what do you mean you don't have a hot tub?
Right.
And my thing was always, that's good, but I want rooms that sound, way above what anybody else does. And even production wise, you can't be just good. It needs to be that notch above where you go, holy shit, what is, I've told a zillion times my Warner Brothers story. I can give it to you again if you haven't heard it.
Please do.
When I was at Cherokee, I talked Warner Brothers Records into coming in, and they this was for Van Halen's first album,
right,
to do a spot. So it was a big, huge thing. The band was there, A&R reps from Warner Brothers. This was back in the heyday when all the girls looked dead, the black lipstick, black nail polish, black, it's like, so that death looks good on you. And they even brought their own engineer. So I'm kind of sitting there, out of the loop. And I was amazed, this was my first, like, wow, this is Warner Brothers. And Van Halen is in the room with me. It's like, I'm trying not to wet my pants, And they did this spot. Well, during the session, the guy's trying to patch this thing. And I go, man, if you patch this, and realize that back then, the creativity was entirely on you. There were no plugins. So if you wanted, like, reverse echo, you'd have to, do a track with echo, throw it to another deck, flip it over, do it backwards. Now the echo's on the front, so you get that, kind of, you had to do all kinds of weird little creative things, which was a lot of fun. But so this guy was trying to patch an effect, and I go, well, man, if you do this, and he turns around in front of this room full of people and goes, I'd appreciate it if you'd shut your mouth and stay out of this.
Oh, whoa!
So I was like, oh my God, right brain wanted to knock him off the chair, left brain was that I'm sorry,
right.
And they did the spot. And it was like, it was okay, and not arrogantly, but it's like, man, it's Van Halen. This thing should have smoke coming off of it. And so I basically went in and voiced and produced my own spot. And when I sent this stuff to Warner Brothers, I tacked it on the end. Well, the following day they called him and they said, what is this? And I went, I apologize. I realized I really overstepped and I should never. And they went, no, God, we love this.
Yeah.
It's Canada. And I had Warner Brothers doing all of their radio shows and concert spots and, the interview shows. I've got archives of wonderful, one of a kind, from, Bonnie Raitt and Madonna and REM and all kind. And it just turned into a really wonderful, kind of a situation. And the spot, I just put in all kinds of blistering with phasing and, even a jet underneath, so it's like, Van Halen, there's just, and they were like, holy, because, it's like the old Panasonic spots. It's like your hair should be flying back.
Yes.
And so that's what I kind of tried to instill in like even hiring engineers. And it's tough. It's not, it's not good enough to just sit there and yes, it's like, no, really stop and think about, how can we create that theater of the mind kind of a thing? And people miss that even with demos. It's like post-production is really important. We've all heard demos where, okay, now I'm going to do pop, and it's like, I do a great Homer Simpson too.
Yes, we've espoused that on this show many a time.
Oh, yeah.
Do you get the sense now that as an industry that voice actors on a whole are just trying way too hard? Like the industry to me seems like it's not rocket science.
Right.
It really isn't.
No, it's not. The other thing too is that it's the same thing with like coaching. The main reason I started doing VO coaching was not to throw the hat in the, but I have a much different sense because we're dealing with producers and directors and writers, and then I've been with doing on the other side of the glass as an actor for ages as well. So it's a little bit different idea because we're privy to what goes on. When you leave as talent, we're still there with the client,
right?
And so you're hearing what that process is and what do they like, what do they not like. You're right in that so many people now, it's like, the copy paste. Why, yes, I'm the voice of McDonald's and NBC and CBS and Fox and Chevy. And it's like, here, just grab another logo and put it on your website, And I always tell people, just do your homework. Just look and obviously, if you're doing whatever, a demo, a coaching, whatever, find somebody that you're comfortable with. There's people out there who are very, very good, but there are way more people who make pretty amazing claims that never have really. They're not really involved in the voiceover business. Do you know what I mean? It's
absolutely. Oh, yeah.
It's this kind of peripheral, kind of thing where you'll see them show up at a lot of conferences. And it's funny because the VO guys all call them voiceover gypsies, and they just, and it's true. I mean, you kind of run into them and stuff, and it's like most of them have never really done, and again, saying that, it sounds like I'm being this arrogant prick.
But you're right. They're all over the place, and what they are good at doing is promoting themselves through social media and through websites and stuff like that to create the illusion of a very rich career,
absolutely,
or a very full resume, and anything can be faked. Like it's
well, and there's a lot of that out there. I mean, it's astounding to me how many people that.
Oh, it's unbelievable, Marc.
It is, and so there's a little bit of it's interesting in that most of the VO guys that I know, it's like acting and improv. That's the big deal. It's not just reading a script and going, like you were talking about the physicality of a character.
I can't remember where I heard it, but through motion comes emotion. So if you're just standing still, you don't have the benefit of camera, body language, facial expressions. So you have to move your body to try and convey all that you cannot.
Hang on for a minute. I'm writing that down. I'm going to do T-shirts.
There you go.
There you go. There you go.
2 cents off everyone sold, please.
But it's kind of sad. I mean, again, going back to the technology thing with everybody at the home studios, I think voice actors are being done a disservice by doing so many auditions from home self-directed.
I absolutely agree.
Because I think, being in the studio environment, being in front of, a casting director that's working with you, with an engineer, like, I still say that the engineers, the producers, they're the unsung heroes. Be their best friends.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Because those are the guys that,
Well, I mean, I have the most fun when I'm actually, and I find that, not that I'm not good at home. I mean, if you're good, you're good, and you got to be good. If you're
it's
at home,
it's a different skill set.
Exactly. Just the energy of being in a live studio with a director and an engineer. My performance excels even more than it does at home because of the environment and the energy of everybody involved.
It's still got that. I just did, of all things, they did a late session last night. They're doing a new, yet another World of Warcraft called Legions.
Oh, wow, cool.
And so it was a late, I got out of there about 7 o'clock, but it's still, even after doing it all of this time, there's still a magical quality and a camaraderie with those people.
Absolutely.
And the key to that is not only to give them what they want, but even come off with something a little bit different where they go, wow, that was so, it's not just like, gee, that was great, but God, man, I want you back here again. And that turns into that. They actually, knock on wood, in this case, will call your agent and request you rather than having you audition. It's like, we really want Marc for the, and that's wonderful. And again, that's the thing that's missing from back when everybody would have to meet for auditions and stuff. Right. There's that camaraderie. And you meet people, and even if you haven't, if I haven't seen Rob Paulson in 6 months, if I haven't seen, in a couple of, Mark Hamill, they're still like, hey, man, how you doing? It's just great. And it's not a laundry list. Well, actually, yes.
I hate it when I go a long stretch without seeing Marc.
I know what you mean.
But do you know what I mean? I mean, it's just,
totally.
There's a definite camaraderie there, and that's what we lose with the home studio thing. And you're absolutely right. You lose that ability to actually speak to people. That's why one of the things, I talk to people, it's like having an agent. And people go, well, I know there is a certain proponent of the pay-to-play sites. Now, there are people that do okay on those, but my feeling is there's nobody, you're simply client number 00784. There's not somebody on the phone going, who would be great for this? Because that's what an agent's job is to sell you.
Exactly.
And to really get on there. I was with William Morris forever. It became very just kind of stale. It did. I mean, I don't mean this arrogantly, but just because I've been there forever, I can call virtually any agent in town and they'll pick up and go, hey, Marc, what's going on? Right. I would call my own agent. Oh, yeah, he'll get back to you. And wouldn't. It's like, what's wrong with this picture? I swear I showered this morning. And so one of the things I love I'm with Atlas now, they still very much believe in personal contact, going over and, taking a casting director out and schmoozing and sending them a wine basket and constant, maybe a thank you card. And the reason for that is if you do that with, Colette Sunderman at Nickelodeon, right? Well, when Colette has a project, who's she going to go to cast it? to my agent,
exactly,
which means I will in turn audition for it. Exactly. And that's the major fact. The thing is, too, I mean, you have to realize it's also at this point very much a numbers game. Right. I've had people that come and go, well, I signed with that. I mean, I did an audition Friday. I haven't heard back anything. It's
right.
I find it interesting now that with the fact that there's so many people that, you know, quote unquote, are voice actors, you know, you got $199 and a USB mic, you're a voice actor.
Oh yeah.
It's gone almost back to the old days where studios, casting directors, production houses, they've got their list of people, their go-tos, the ones that they know can deliver, as opposed to, you know, throwing out a wide casting net a la pay-to-play and, you know, rolling the dice and hoping that the demo that they've posted hasn't been, you know, audio photoshopped to the nth degree.
Exactly. Right. And that's an absolute fact. And that's one of the things that, you know, when you reach that, you know, like at the level that we're working at, you can't, you know, do that. They're paying a lot of money hourly, and they're expecting you to know what the hell you're doing, you know?
Right.
And that's really the key to that. That's how you build that relationship and continue building work for yourself. You know, that we all have clients that we've never, you know, I do radio liners. This is great for a radio station in Lebanon, right? Now, what radio station? I thought people just ran around with guns and shot each other. You know, the hilarious thing is, but it's like tonight, live from the Fanacha. What the? Don't worry, my friend. I send you MP3. It's pronounced Fanacha. You know, it's. Right? You know, so of course I'm assuming that most people over there probably think I have Tourette's. I'm sure the State Department's going, another check from Lebanon. What's going on here? You know, but it's. You know, there is a ton of work out there, but I think the hardest thing for people is to be honest with yourself. It's no different than, you know, American Idol when that was going on way back, and we all used to love, you know, watching Simon grill the crap out of some guy who was just absolutely awful, and yet this guy was convinced he had it going.
Yeah,
you know, and you have a lot of that element out there, and I'm not, you know, I don't mean it critically. It's just that, you know, sometimes like your main thing may be, you know, audiobooks, and you may be very good at that. And, you know, Scotty Brick, I mean, Scott's made a fortune doing that. And the guy's exceptional. Very, very, very talented. Right. Ashton Smith, you hear Ashton, you know, who kind of stepped in after Don LaFontaine. And Ashton has that very deep, you know, Tonight on NBC. Yeah. Well, you're not going to hear Ashton going, hey, honey, what's for dinner? Kraft macaroni and cheese.
Well, it depends. If it's XXX, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. You know, exactly. You know, but, you know, so you kind of find that niche thing that you are good at and, you know, broaden out from that. There's an awful lot of people that, you know, with animation that assume, you know, well, I do a dead on Homer Simpson. Well, it's not dead on, not to mention the fact that Dan's not going anywhere.
Exactly.
So you know, it's kind of a redundant factor. It's like, why include that? The other thing, too, is to do something a little outside of the box, especially with auditions. It's like if you have a woman and you go, I want you to do an evil witch. 99% of them are going to do the
Wizard of Oz.
Right.
Yeah. You know, and it's like, here, where's my razor blade? I need to cut my wrist.
It's funny you tell that story because I think it was Debbie Derryberry told a similar story where it was exactly what you said. They were calling for a witch, and everybody else came in and did that, and instead she did a female version of Ed Wynn.
There you go.
And it was just like totally off of what everybody else was doing, but it stood out, you know, definitely
Absolutely.
Not at the back of the pack. So
it's... I've had that happen a couple of times. There's been a few auditions, and most of the auditions, you know, we do obviously, you know, at home, right? And I always give the client what, you know, they want. Or it says, you know, what I think it says. But, you know, 9 times out of 10, I will absolutely say, you know what, I'm just going to give something that's just completely off the wall.
Right.
I want to loop back to something else when we were talking about people that, you know, you might be very good at audiobooks, but, you know, that doesn't mean that you're going to be good at everything else. I've encountered a lot of those, especially newbies, because when they first getting into the industry and maybe they haven't, you know, found a right coach or read enough to actually school themselves, done their research, but they seem to have this attitude attitude where, well, okay, I got to get a demo together. All right, well, I need a character demo, I need a commercial demo, I need an audiobook demo, I need a imaging demo for promo and stuff like that. And
a stadium announcing demo.
Not everybody can do everything, and like you said, you got to find that niche, find out what you excel at, and maybe you do excel at 2 or 3 things. Many of us do. I like saying, don't try to be the voice you're not. Just find who you are and your strengths, and put all your energy into that instead of hopefully like doing as many demos as possible and hoping something gets you a gig.
Well, yeah, and the interesting thing with that is that even at an agency, they are broken down. At an agent's office, they have a group of people that handle commercials. They have a group of people that are animation/video games. They have a group of people that handle trailers and promos. Some even have live announce departments with, for doing AFI, all of that kind of stuff. But the key, it's like if you do animation, do 6 voices that are really, really good and strong. I love these guys that have actually understood, I've got 317 voices on my demo, and it's like, and it sounds like you doing every one of them. And that really is, it's like you talk about niches. Mainly the running gag is basically everything I play is either dead or mutated. It's like I never play the guy next door. I play the guy that kills the guy next door. But it's great. Now, in that case, because I play so many bad guys, I actually did a demo that was all bad guys.
Right.
Because there was a call to do that. So, a lot of the stuff is, I love it when people go, well, I just finished my 17th audiobook on ACX, which is very much like record company accounting. It's the, and I tell people, unless, if you're sitting at home and you're bored and that's what you want to do, but then great, but you're going to find out very, very quickly that even if they offer $2,000, they want a finished, mastered product. Unless you are an exceptional editor, you're going to find out real quickly you're making about $1.20 an hour.
Exactly.
Right.
And the thing is, too, because it's voiceover. Do I love it? Absolutely, we all do. It's wonderful. The fact that we are all successful because we've actually made a living doing this, regardless of where that living is at.
Right.
You still have been paid to do voiceover, so that's you're sitting in a room talking, getting paid. So that's exceptionally cool. But the thing is, too, people miss is like set a value on what you do. You don't have a painter come over to your house and go, well, go ahead and paint it, and I'll see whether I want to pay you, $500 or $50. Yeah. It's like, no, it's a very set. This is what it is, right. And people. It's very hard for a lot of people to deal with the money aspect. Very rarely do I get drawn into discussions on the internet. It's just not worth, what I mean?
Absolutely.
But there was one with a woman who was claiming that she makes $9,000 a month off of Fiverr doing voiceover.
Oh, I remember seeing that article.
So yeah. I remember, doing the quick math, and it came out to something like, so I actually, got involved, and I said, so you're telling me that you do 1,860 VOs a month? And I said, really? And let me guess, you raise unicorns in your backyard and ride a dragon to work, which didn't go over very well.
Right.
But, and again, there's so many claims like that, and again, you can't really substantiate a lot of it, but it just set a value, even if it's a local radio spot. You have to understand that if you're doing a spot for $20, it's not like all of a sudden in 6 months the guy's going to, you know what? I was sitting here, I found Jesus, I want to give you $500.
Absolutely. If you start low, you have nowhere to go.
There you go.
Right.
Yep. There you go. And leave yourself a little to go. But if you want to actually play in this arena and make a living, then do it as a business. And people miss that aspect of it, that there is a business portion to this, that you have to maintain in order to make a living doing this. It's not just sitting there talking and sending it out and going, gee, nothing's happened. You have to, it's almost approaching it as if you opened a brick and mortar business. Okay, I've got Bob's voiceovers. What do I need to do? I have my business cards and envelopes. What do I need to do?
Right.
It's just, it's like, if you love it, great. But really the pretense is, if you go into this thinking, I actually have had a couple of guys go, man, I need to have $60,000 in 2 months, man. So I need to get this demo out. And it's like, well, good luck with that.
Well, Marc, it's just reading, right?
It's doing what you do, setting a value, but looking at it realistically. I love it when people think they're going to dabble in VO because I'm between things or I'll do it part-time. It doesn't work that way. It's like my feeling to this is you need to look at yourself as a professional auditioner. If you book the job, great. That's like, winning the lottery. But I don't care about that. My job is to audition. That's all I'm here doing. That's what everything's going into. And if I hear something, great. We always laugh seeing the running gag is the ones you do where the person goes, oh my God, that was so
right.
Nailed that character. It was absolute. You were just perfect. It was the personification. It's like, well, thank you very much because I know I won't be hearing from you. And that does happen. The fun thing with things like animation is that you can ad-lib. You can add things. Promos, commercials, no, unless it's like, a commercial like Battle of the Sexes, man, wife, guy, girlfriend. Yeah. Of course you can ad lib because you want it to sound natural. But things like promos, no, it's dead on. In most commercials, it's like you can't change the word and to the with a, oh my God, call Bob. We need to run this early.
Yes, exactly. I know that. Yeah.
So it's just sticking with that, that portion of it. And the audition process right now in LA, if you're booking 1 out of 30 to 35 auditions, that's considered very good.
Yeah. Right.
So you need to be auditioning a lot. So if you have somebody who goes, well, they get me out. I went out twice last week. It's like, well, stop. Stop on the way home and buy lots of top ramen. It is that kind of a thing. And the thing is, when people go, I have a full-time job. I understand. Of course, you need to make a living, but understand that our job is to appease and make happy whoever that is that is hiring us, regardless of what it is. Morally, you will set a moral compass to wherever you want. In that vein, I've had people that go, well, I would never do an alcohol spot. And it's like, well, if you were doing the Budweiser campaign, do you know what that pays?
Yes.
You could open up rehab centers all across the country. And you will set those, to whatever. In fact, I have a quick story. Agent called, they booked me off the demo. They said, you are available tomorrow at 3. It was like, yeah, man, absolutely. I'm there. Great. Where is it? It's at the Celebrity Center in Hollywood. For those of you who don't know, that's the headquarters for Scientology.
Oh.
And so all night I'm going, I don't want to.
Is that right on Hollywood Boulevard?
Yeah, that's that big blue building.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Fountain, but yeah, it's right, And so I'm amping about it, so I have to go. And you drive up, and this guy's like, 56 years old, going, yeah, I still live with my parents and stuff. You can park your car with your Elron be with you. So you walk into this place, and it's like they all have their applets on, and I keep expecting them, he's not one of us.
Yeah.
That's good. So they take you downstairs. It's a very odd. This place looks like Disneyland circa 1966 with the red velvet and gold gilt and just very odd. And all I could think of was butcher this or you're going to be the voice of Scientology. So it would go, can you just billboard the word Scientology? It was like, sure, Scientology. They were like,
where did we get this guy from? Never again.
It was probably the only session I've ever walked out of and went, yes, I didn't book it.
Right. Marc,
to each his own, don't get me wrong. I mean, if you're into that, then more power to you. I hope you're happy talking to those creatures in the volcanoes.
It's clear, Marc, that that you've obviously had an incredible career thus far. Is there something professional?
Is there something happening you're not telling me?
Is there something going on that you're not sharing, you son of a... No. But in terms of, is there anything on the professional level in terms of your career, whatever that may be, is there anything at this point, as you look back and you think to yourself, I still haven't done that yet. That's something that I still want to do. That's something that I still need to do or be a part of, or, something that even after all the success and all the things that you've done, is there still that one one thing that has eluded you?
You know what? Honestly, and not arrogantly, but no, I'm so I mean, this has gone so far above and beyond. I mean, when I came back to Hollywood after leaving and doing I was sleeping on this guy's floor on a food with roaches running over and stuff, and so to really, and I mean, I harken back to the days when people, well, yeah, let me just send you a fax, and it was like, the fax machine is broken because I didn't have a fax machine. I couldn't afford one, and so honestly, at this point, no, I find myself, more like I've gotten very involved with like coaching, like special needs teams and stuff like that.
Awesome. That's fantastic.
I just had a bowling thing this way, and it's so endearing. I mean, I've got slobbery ketchup and crap all over me. But it's just that the look and the run up and the hugs and the kiss on the cheek and coach and it's just very sweet and endearing. And I try and tell people it's like voiceover is wonderful, but a lot of us, we all eat, sleep, live this, 49 hours a day. I mean, people go, God, you've got that amazing home studio. I mean, why do you have that? Because you have your home, the big studio. And it's like, because I still am on, it's like if Jimmy Kimmel and we're doing stuff, I need to do it now.
Yeah. Right.
But at the same point, there are times that it's like, yeah, I always call it, I don't want to go in the talking place.
Right.
Because you can be in here at 10 o'clock at night, okay, bang it out. And don't get me, it's wonderful. I love this business. It's been phenomenal. I mean, it's, paid for 2 divorces. It's put, kids through college. It's been a phenomenal ride. And I honestly, they're really, I can't think of anything. It's gone so far above what I was perfectly happy if I could pay my rent in the place in East Hollywood to my Yugoslavian landlord.
And I think I think you've said something there, not quite directly, but I think that everybody should have realistic expectations, but you need to let go of the wheel and enjoy the ride. As long as you are doing what you need to do, you can't just not do anything, of course, right? You have to put yourself into the positions to make things happen. But to have realistic expectations and not try to steer the wheel so much.
And that's it. I'm amazed at the people that talk about, my wife and I, we're moving out to LA because I'm ready to make the move. And it's like, buddy, I had a call once from a guy who was back in Georgia, and he's doing this thing, he's talking like this, and he's going, well, I'll tell you, I mimic all them promos on TV, like tonight on the Channel 5 News at 7, kind of thing. And I mean, my wife even knows, I mean, and you can hear the kids running around in the back, and he goes, so what I'm looking at doing basically is selling my truck and using that money to come and invest in my career and move out to Los Angeles. And it's like, dude, just no, feed your kids, don't, and not, it's just, be real and realize that, sometimes it's very, very hard to sit down and go, you know what, it's no different. It's like I just turned 62. For a long time, I did like MMA stuff and way back. I would get the shit kicked out of me now. And so you have to realize it's like, that's not me anymore, man. You can't, I have that. I'm fat, I'm old, and it's like, it was great at the time. But you have to accept, certain things. It's like, singing. If you've got this amazing voice, when you listen to a person sing, that's not usually because they were taught to sing. You usually have to have that seed inside of you.
Absolutely.
And whether it's voice, and you have to be able to read well, and you have to be able to, interpret, what's going on. I mean, a lot of that I understand comes with, the more you do it. Of course, I still get nervous if somebody goes, Robert Zemeckis requested, and you're walking on the lot at Warner Brothers University. It's like kind of like, oh shit, okay, But when you're on, you're on. That's your element, man. You're there to do, and everything else just goes away. And you do what you do. And the key there is just be realistic, and really, if you really want to go with this, just sit down and go, okay, what do I do well? Ultimately, what would I like to do? What would I like to be doing? And if that's what whatever decision you make, then work towards that goal.
Voiceover is no different than any other, entertainment business. Not everybody is going to be an actor that wins an Oscar. Not everybody has that, natural talent that they're born with. And, if you can accept that and live within the restrictions and limitations, then you'll have a happy little career. It's just like you said, going back to the American Idol, the ones that you can tell them till they're blue in their face that they'll never amount to anything. Well, I'm going to show you. I know I'm great.
And that's a great analogy. Absolutely. And that really is, it's like if you've done a voiceover and been paid, you are successful. Now, it's all degrees. People go, well, God, and it's like it's the same crap. It's just with more zeros. I mean, it's still, but it's more, you still are dealing with, people look at the studio and go, oh, my God, well, it's, that's a ridiculous nut to operate every month. It is a big place and big staff, and you have, payroll and insurance things and equipment upkeep and all of that stuff. I mean, it's not, but you gradually build up to that point. It's like people go, well, I'm working on my home studio, and it's like, well, it's like, I have a whisper room. I bought a Neumann 87. I'm using a Focusrite Red pre-mic. I'm using a Pro Tools HD. It's like, well, there's your $30,000 worth of stuff sitting there. It's like, you're going to be able to hear those crickets flawlessly. It's like build up to that. It's like you don't go out and buy your first car and buy a Ferrari. It's like, no, do this and then gradually work into it, but be serious about it and understand that, it's light, it's fun, the sessions are marvelous, you have fun, but it is very, very much a business, and there is a ridiculous amount of money that is spent in doing this. And I don't mean just to VO talent. I mean, that can happen as well. But, studio-wise, I mean, if, you're paying a studio $200 an hour, you've got a director you're paying, this is not the place where you want to go, okay, so the backstory on this character is like, okay, I mean, would you consider them like Midwest? Or it's like, it's like just go in and do it, and they will guide you through, and everybody's happy. It's like, when you walk into a session, I always like to have to people like, you walk into a session, you get behind the mic, what do you do? It's like, do the character, do the voice exactly like you're going to do it. And that way everybody hears it. They hear where you're going. The engineer's getting levels, director's hearing you, the, writers, the powers that be. And that way you're right there. And to do a little joke, great. One little quick thing, get in the booth. It's like with auditions. If you get a call back, that is not the time to go, let me just run out to my car and get my demo. It's like, because everything comes to a screeching halt. And again, being on that other side of the glass, after talent's gone, they're going, geez, we had a session, 5 actors. Everybody's there ready to go. The 5th actress was not there. And I won't mention her name. I want to, but I won't because I'll get in trouble anyway. And so she's about 35 minutes late, comes in, and the first thing she's doing is she's bitching about the microphone. She's bitching about the copy stand, about the stool, about the carpet, about the barometric pressure in China. And so she leaves. And the client's going, God, I would never hire that bitch again in a million years. Yeah. And it's like, well, there's a great, get back. I've got a gun. I mean, it's like, why? That's not a great career move. Right. It's just always be open, always be polite, always be at least 10 to 15 minutes early to a session. That can be tough in LA. It's because, again, you've got traffic. It was terrible. I was about 20 minutes late to a session a couple of weeks ago, and you walk in, and there's 12 people, and they just stare at you because they've been sitting there waiting for you. And it was like, so I'm rubbing my hand, and I just said, guys, I'm really, really sorry. I mean, my finger is killing me. I've been on the 405 the last 20 minutes and flipped them off, and they laughed. It was like, and that's enough. Now you're in the booth. The moment is now lightened up a little bit. Yeah. Let's get in and do what we got to do. And sessions are great. They're very, very, very seldom is it antagonistic. You occasionally will run into a director who that's their style. It's like, okay, slate your name, but not in character. Yeah, I just said don't do the character. It's like, I like wooden hangers, and I mean, occasionally that will happen. You just let it go. Just let it slough off. You can't really, you just do what you do. It's funny. It's like doing the videos you were talking about on the internet. Yeah. And I know, because you're putting yourself out there. I'm not processing it. I'm not doing it. It's like, Here it is, and so you're going to have people that go, well, I would have done it like this. And it's like, great, man, and then you have people that send you stuff of how you should have done it, which is
everybody's an armchair critic.
That's right.
But it's fine. I mean, you just have to know if you're putting it out there, it's fine. The whole purpose for putting up, the all of the celeb pictures and all of that stuff is it's not arrogantly, it's just to kind of legitimize that, look, it's not photoshopped.
Right. No, absolutely.
And not to mention, I mean, if you've got people that are coming to the studio and they say, hey, my buddy was here. Oh, puts them at ease,
and
right?
It's funny because that's absolutely true. That's kind of how that started out, was that, and then, somebody comes and goes, oh, man, I know, we just worked together last week. That's great. And then now they're at ease.
Right.
And it's very much like owning a bar. I mean, with the amount of pictures, we always laugh going, well, it was either this or a dry cleaners.
Brilliant.
So it just, it does. It kind of puts people at ease, and you see pictures going way back to, William Conrad and that kind of stuff. And people just realize the places, we've been there a long time, coming up on, good Lord, 33 years.
Wow. But it's been an amazing run, though.
It really has. It's gone. I mean, so far, above. I mean, you never set out. Again, you'd set out like anything, going, God, if I could actually pay my bills doing this would be great. So it's been a phenomenal ride, absolutely, and I'm still having fun, absolutely.
And that's the point.
That's exactly the point. Congratulations.
Yeah,
Marc.
man. Fixinthemix.com. That is the website. The legendary Marc Graue Recording Studios. Check it out, because again, there's some great shots. You and Casey Kasem. Like that's awesome stuff.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. It's shameless plug. There's also, if you need it, I'll just throw that out there, a coaching site, which is Marc, MARC Graue, GRAUE. And that's got all kinds of stuff and outtakes and stuff. That's more for and even if you want just and not pay for anything and just have a question, then just email me on that. I'm pretty good about getting back to people and saying, hey, this is what you should do. At this point, I feel I've been so blessed and lucky. It's like, hey, if you can pay it forward, cool, go with it.
That's the attitude to have.
Absolutely.
That's so awesome.
Cool. Marc, thanks so much for taking the time, man. I love the stories. You're such a good guy, and hopefully we'll either see you out in
I'm
LA.
sorry, but holy shit, he's so funny.
Oh, I know. It's so funny.
Well, I have to be honest, guy. It warms my heart that you have no taste whatsoever, and that's...
That is exactly... We're the politest of polite Canadians. That's exactly what it is. Marc Graue, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
We are going to come back and wrap up this edition of the AmiVO's and Friends Super Fantastic Hour podcast.
Happy Hour
podcast. Don't get it right eventually. Right after this.
The 3 AmiVO's.
Warning. We'll be right back.
Changing the voiceover industry one toque at a time.
We're going to take a little break, but we'll be back in a while, so don't nobody go nowhere.
And now, it's time for another 3 AmiVO's Fun Fact.
Hey folks, how you doing? AmiVO Dave here. So the other day, a buddy from Ottawa gives me a call, right? A guy I've known for years, since high school actually. He gives me a call up and he's like, Dave, are you talking in a British accent now? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he said, well, the other day, I was watching Netflix and I came across this documentary series called Final 24, and it had your name attached to it as the narrator. But when I started watching one of the episodes, it was some British guy. So I was like, okay, so I'm going to explain to you what I explained to him. So in 2006, a company here in Canada produced a documentary series called Final 24, which essentially follows the final 24 hours of somebody's life, but somebody really well known, right? Like really famous, like JFK, Janis Joplin, Marvin Gaye, Jim Morrison, but it was produced with a British narrator by the name of Danny Wallace. Now, Danny Wallace is a really well-known author, comedian, VO actor. He's probably best known for writing the book that the Jim Carrey movie Yes Man is based on. But in 2007, when they were selling the show to the US market, the company in the States wanted more of an American-sounding voice, right? To appeal to the American audience. So, naturally they hire a Canadian, which of course was me. So in 2007, when it aired on the Biography channel, it was my voice you were hearing. But when the show went into syndication after that, they fell back on the original version. But before doing that, it was my name that ended up on IMDb, on Wikipedia, on Netflix, when they were selling the show on Amazon. But now when you go to IMDb, you will see Danny Wallace's name attached to it, and then you see my name underneath it as the US version. So that is to clear that up, ladies and gentlemen, in case you were watching Netflix or you have the DVDs or you see it on TV and you see my name attached to it and you realize that doesn't sound like Dave McRae. My name's Dave McRae and this has been your AmiVO Fun Fact. Now, back to the show.
And now, the AmiVO AmiVO's and Friends super fantastic happy hour vodcast.
Everyone ready?
Yeah.
And we're back! You guys are jerks.
And I feel energized after that interview.
Okay, Marc is...
I couldn't keep up. The guy was like just nonstop, and I'm laughing, and then I'm listening, and then I'm laughing, and I'm listening. I actually have a
sore face.
My cheeks
I can
hurt.
see it.
I've been smiling so much. Jeez.
I can see it. Kind of look like the cover of the Mad magazines right now. I can sort of see it.
Thank you, David.
You know, if you take Garnet's cheeks and fold them in,
well, that's
like
what
this,
I mean. The cheeks.
Yeah, you just fold them in.
I'm not saying he looks like the Mad magazine. I'm talking about the cheeks.
I look like a Shar-Pei.
A toupee.
That was amazing. I mean, I was expecting Marc to be funny. I mean, if you see any of his videos online, he's a very talented guy.
He's quick.
Perfect for animation and for video games because he's very physical when he does that stuff.
Perfect for this show.
Yeah, absolutely. But there was some great information in there. If you are a voiceover talent that has, maybe never set foot into a studio in that environment, some great stuff in there.
Heed him.
Yes, absolutely.
Heed his words.
Yes. There's a reason why, the words experienced and, legendary go with Marc Graue. He's worked with them all, and he worked with Mark Hamill.
Exactly.
Exactly. And not just that he's worked with so many and directed and recorded and stuff like that, but the man himself, his own experience behind the mic.
Yes, absolutely.
His credits. I mean, it was very cool and very funny, and I'm kind of jealous that you get to go out and see his studio. And
I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah,
that's gonna be awesome.
You're gonna have to take tons of pictures, man.
I
want to see you and
I want to
Marc
see you with
frolicking through a field together,
giving us the finger, like, hey, I'm here and you're not. Yeah,
exactly.
That's great. So thanks again to Marc Graue for hanging out with us. That was a lot of fun. If you want to get in touch with the show, very simple. There's a whole bunch of places you can look. Dave, it's thevoiceman.com with 2 N's.
That's right, voiceman with 2 N's.com and davemcrae.ca.
Perfect. WilliamsVoiceovers.com.
That's correct.
I like your website, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, it is really
cool.
nice.
Who was your web designer?
It's actually a guy that I went to high school with.
Nice.
And
who shall remain nameless, apparently.
No, his name's you dick.
No free plugs.
His name's Rodney Brazo, and we reconnected on Facebook, and he was intrigued by the idea of doing voiceovers.
Cool.
And I knew that he was web design, graphic design, very, very good at the artistry.
There's a nice little.
So I did a little barter thing where I'm not usually into coaching.
Yeah.
But I took him on as a casual student.
Your Padawan.
If you will.
Oh, very well.
Bringing it back.
Nice.
So that was done in exchange.
Awesome.
The barter system, as we pioneered here in Canada, and I'd rather have a website than a whole bunch of beaver pelts. So thank you. Thank you, Rodney.
As I sit here with my mucklucks on. mpvoiceovers.com is my little site. And yes, all things Mike still directs to it.
Hey, I wasn't even fucking thinking about it.
All right. You can also check out... Dick. You can also check out our website, the number 3, AmiVO's, AmiVOS.com. We're also on Twitter and Facebook. All the links are
YouTube
there,
and
YouTube, the whole 9 yards. And
we're on
don't forget
something.
to subscribe to our podcast on iTunes. Our podcast.
Yes.
It's the podcast. Was it Nobu?
Was it Nobu?
We completely got off the rails here.
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you can go to Nobu when you're in LA. I'm just going to leave that right there. For AmiVO, Garnet, Williams in front of me.
It's an honor just to be nominated.
Of course it is. And to my left, AmiVO, Dave McRae.
It was an honor to be nominated.
I see what you did there.
It's AmiVO Mike Pongracz. I don't know why I'm here. Useless.
We don't know
You're
why.
the eye candy.
I'm the eye candy. That's it.
Yep.
Till next we meet here at AmiVO headquarters in AmiVO Mountain, we wish you a very happy and hearty
Olé!
We are finished. We are over. It's over.
The AmiVO's and Friends super fantastic happy hour vodcast has been brought to you by the 3 AmiVO's.
Show's over.
It was written, recorded, edited, and produced from deep within the Great White North by Dave McRae, Garnet Williams, and Mike Pongracz.
Are we going bye-bye?
For more AmiVO fun, questions, or comments, check us out online at 3amivos.com. On Twitter at the 3amivos. Until next time.